Hi there. It's 8 o'clock, and it's October 29th. It is spooky season, and welcome to another update from Great Lakes Weather. We are back with another video regarding the upcoming severe weather potential for the Great Lakes region. I know it's been a while since we've done a video, and I've been pretty busy, so hence videos have not been as common for forecast updates, but we're going to do one regarding this setup for severe weather that is coming for tomorrow and also on Thursday, because there's a potential for damaging winds and also potential for a tornado. I want to kind of break down the dynamics with this setup. And again, November setups or late October setups for tornadoes usually are not too common for the Great Lakes region, so it's always notable to do a quick video about it, even if the threat is still under a marginal risk for the area for Thursday. But still, something unique. Might be something we chase on Thursday too. We'll have to see how that pans out. I'm not sure if I'll get the time off, but we'll see. Here we go. We have the 500 millibar jet that's being shown, and again, what we're looking at here with the weather maps is the change in wind speed and direction at the 500 millibar level. So this is higher up in the atmosphere, I would say, further up in the mid layer. But what you have here is your 500 millibar jet, okay? And what you see here is you can kind of see where the trough is located, okay? So you see that trough where this burst of wind's kind of dipping down, and you kind of have a buildup of some stronger winds on the backside. What's happening here is there's going to be a trough ejection, okay? And when that happens, you usually see an increase in wind in that upper level that generates greater speed shear and also can generate better directional shear as it makes its way into portions of the United States and further eastward, okay? So you can see that that is going to evolve across portions of the plains tomorrow, and by tomorrow morning you can see that it kind of strengthens as it gets into portions of Kansas, Nebraska, Oklahoma, those different places. And again, they have a 10% hatched threat for tornadoes as a result of this for tomorrow. And you notice that that trough continues to surge eastward, and the wind continues to increase on the leading edge of it. And when you see that pattern kind of take shape, that's usually you can say, okay, there's going to be more interactions between different layers of the atmosphere because of this, and because of that, we'll also have some impactful weather in portions of the Great Lakes region as well. How impactful? Too soon to tell. The threat still remains marginal, but it's still something to note. We could see some damaging winds, maybe even a spin-up tornado with that as well. But you can see the trough kind of goes right over Michigan and Indiana and Ohio. So it's a notable setup. It's going to be kind of targeting our general region, so it's something to pay attention to. And in the fall, when something marginal appears, something to keep an eye on, because you have even low Cape high shear days, which could lead to some severe weather development. So let's go to Storm Predictor Center. Okay. Enhanced risk for severe weather across portions of eastern Kansas and northern Oklahoma. You can see that the threat there for tornadoes is higher across portions of Kansas, with a 10% hatched region across that region. So Oklahoma, northern Texas have that 5%, also extending into portions of western Missouri, southwestern Iowa, and northwestern Arkansas. 2% risk across portions of Illinois and Wisconsin. So again, the threat kind of getting lower as you go further north and east. And the wind threat is still there also, with storms that evolve in eastern Kansas and northwestern Missouri. And then that hail threat is actually getting a little bit lower. When they get into our area, the lapse rates don't look too steep either. I don't think the hail threat's going to be really that big with the storms that come into our area. So we'll talk about our area in just a second. But again, they approach into Illinois, Wisconsin. We go to the day 3 outlook. This is for us on Thursday. So you can see Thursday, marginal risk kind of extends all the way across to where that cold front's going to be moving through. Again, there's going to be a good amount of speed shear going along with that trough. I think this area is probably going to be in a better environment for stronger thunderstorms, again, because of that increased shear that you'll have across portions of Indiana, Ohio, and Michigan. So that's the place that's kind of the place to watch for storms. That is Thursday, and it looks like it might actually be a morning to midday event. Not for sure on that just yet. Timing is still a little bit uncertain, but the latest models have put out kind of that idea. So we're going to get into that. Let's break that down. We'll come back to the climate overlook in just a minute. But this didn't load like I wanted to, so we're going to look at that just a little bit later, because that website's kind of slow for me usually. But let's take a look at how this could evolve. This is the 18Z HRRR run. Very easily could change. So again, keep in mind, we are looking at raw model data here. Can't necessarily forecast exactly what's going to happen. It just gives kind of a depiction of what's going to take place. So let's dive right in. you have that low pressure system that is bringing that favorable environment for thunderstorms. You see they start to evolve across portions of Iowa and then also Kansas Wednesday afternoon. And as they evolve, we got those areas that are in brown right there. That actually symbolizes what we call updraft helicity, showing where the spin in the atmosphere is exceeding 75 meters squared per second. So get a sounding ahead of this. See that torr sounding, you got SRH around 100 to 200 towards the 3rd kilometer. You got good directional and speed shear present with this storm. That's going to be evolving across eastern Kansas. This environment will not be as great as it gets towards our area, but still you can see kind of what we are looking at as these storms initially develop across portions of Kansas. So there could be some tornadoes in Kansas tomorrow, could even be a strong one or two. But you can see that that kind of congeals into a line with damaging winds across portions of Missouri, and then it'll continue to press eastward. By the time we get to around 5 a.m., you can see that there is a line of broken thunderstorms moving into portions of Indiana and also into Michigan. You get a sounding out of these. Honestly, environment doesn't look too great, especially with the clouds being very elevated. Your SRH with these first few storms isn't really that good, but you have strong speed shear present with this and directional shear. But again, with those clouds being elevated, the severe threat will remain relatively minimal with the storms that make their way through during that morning time frame. The HRRR is kind of lower on the scale. The NAM is kind of playing it a little bit higher than that. But you can see that the line continues to progress through this is at about 9 o'clock. You can see that as those storms move through, still remaining relatively elevated, but the SRH does tend to increase with these storms as they move eastward. So the thing to watch is this band that will be coming right along the cold front later in the afternoon. The issue is that convection that we get early in the morning is going to impact how much instability we see, and really we're not going to have that much instability. So the lack of instability is going to be kind of the killer with regards to the setup. So if we get if we get more instability than what is initially forecasted, that's when we can start to see a more improved threat for strong to severe thunderstorms. You can see that with these storms that could initialize along the cold front back here, you see that the cloud bases are going to be much lower. Okay, so again, there's some factors that we're watching with regards to some other things as well. But you can see that the air will be saturated, temperatures will be in the 60s, and as well as dew points. So it's something to keep in mind if storms are able to initialize along this area, which question is, will they? Hard to tell. Southeast Michigan's getting some soundings that kind of point to a more severe setup. You can see temperatures in the 70s, dews in the 60s. Low cloud bases, you have pretty much nothing breaking apart the convection in between the bottom and the top here. So you have directional speed shear, SRH values of 170 to 250, which again could produce a tornado across portions of southeastern Michigan. So that's a place that you're going to want to keep an eye on around 2 p.m. So that's kind of what the HRRR is putting out at this current moment. Go a little bit forward. Let's check the NAM. So this is the NAM model. Again, the NAM model does things a little bit differently, handles things a little bit differently too. So if you show exactly what is going to occur around 7 a.m., you can see that, again, showing a similar pattern. You have a line of storms that's kind of formed. It kind of shows it a little more broken as it moves into Michigan and Indiana, and it shows it arriving a little bit later. And the severe threat is still not that great with the initial storms that move through. It's elevated, but look at the SRH with this one. 350 in the first kilometer. That's pretty intense SRH for any storms that to interact with. Again, but if it remains elevated, it likely won't do too much. If it can become surface-based, though, that's when we should be a little bit more careful. The NAM puts out a few thunderstorms firing on the back side of that initial line, and it shows that those storms could be relatively close to the surface, and nothing really impeding them from developing up higher in the atmosphere towards the mid-levels. So it doesn't really look like they're going to be tall. Again, temperatures are only going to be in the 60s. You will still have saturated air as well along with that. But you have good directional speed shear, good SRH favored by the NAM 3K in western Michigan. So there's really a question of timing at this point and where those storms will initially evolve later on in the afternoon. So we're going to have to see if timing begins to come into better agreement. These storms will fire in the afternoon and evening and as we get close to dark on Friday. You can see that there's still some marginal severe potential with those storms as they move through Indiana and Ohio, and there will be severe potential with the ones that move down into Kentucky and further southwest also. So keeping an eye on things with that, and we will keep you updated. There might be a chance we chase these if the timing is appropriate. If it's not appropriate, then that, well, I wish it could be out there, but there will be other chasers, I believe, out there chasing it from Michigan Storm Chasers also as well. So that'll be good news. Now, GFS gives kind of a longer range pattern idea. And what it seems to depict is a few more systems making their way through. Again, as we get into longer range, we don't really want to get too excited or nervous about anything that's going to be coming through. But you really don't see too much in terms of snow in the longer range yet either. I know there were some models that were putting out like, oh boy, we're going to get a lot of snow. That's not the case. We'll probably be dealing with some warmer air. But again, we do need that rain. I know there's a lot of places that are facing drought pattern right now, so that's a very unfortunate thing. But this is the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook from the Climate Prediction Center. You can see that forecast is to be well above average in terms of temperatures, so it's going to be pretty warm. And then also the precipitation outlook is going to be well above average for some places across the Great Lakes as well. And again, that has a lot to do with that system that's going to be moving through over the next couple days, and there'll be a couple other systems that we will have to monitor as we continue through this relatively warmer pattern for late fall. Again, also looking at the longer range, the Climate Prediction Center is also talking about the La Nina pattern. Again, at this current point, the La Nina pattern was forecasted a couple months ago to be stronger than it currently is, so that means it actually progressed into a La Nina season at a weaker pace than what was projected. But regardless, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration is saying that we will still be dealing with the La Nina pattern. You're probably asking, what does the La Nina pattern do for us? Well, the La Nina pattern actually strengthens the polar jet because it's a cooling of the surface level temperatures on the Pacific Ocean. And when that happens, that actually interacts with multiple air masses across the globe and will contribute to a strengthening of the polar jet, which could mean cooler weather. Doesn't make that for certain, but it could be. I'm interested to see how the La Nina pattern will interact with this upcoming winter season. And you can see as we get closer to the spring, we're going to start to see a transition to more of a ENSO neutral pattern, which we'll have to see what comes about with that. An ENSO neutral pattern during the spring usually could lead to some interesting weather as we slowly transition towards a El Nino potentially once again. So again, with meteorology, it's a very dynamic science. A lot of things go on, a lot of things change, and a lot of things are sometimes don't go as planned with regards to weather activity or climate activity. So it's just interesting to kind of watch these models and kind of take a look at them yourself. You can access all of these things online for yourself too. You can see the links up on the URL up above. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hopefully this video was helpful. Make sure to subscribe and stay updated. I don't really have too much time to produce videos in terms of weather forecasting at the current moment, but we will start to possibly do some more winter storm chasing as the winter season comes around, which, get hyped. Looking forward to it. See y'all later.